Anilox roll basics, care and maintenance, and the application of doctor blades. When you think about the flexographic printing process, the heart of the process is the Anilox roll. There are many other components associated with the printing process, for instance the inks, the substrates that you are printing on, and the doctor blades. Considerations like whether you are using a metering roll or a chambered system. But it all comes down to the control of an ink film being delivered to the surface of a printing plate and then delivered to the substrate, and that is controlled and all starts with the Anilox roll. But before an Anilox roll can ever get into your facility, it has to arrive in good condition. In order to ensure that you are protecting your business from potential hidden damage or freight damage associated with the transport of that roll from one of our facilities, it is always critical to inspect the plate upon delivery. These pictures show gross examples of how crates have been received by our customers. However, any damage to the crate can result in hidden damage to the roll, so it is critical that the roll is inspected. We advise that if there is any issue or any sign of an issue with the crate, it should be signed for as potential hidden damage, which gives you an ability to then go back for a claim against the freight company. So once you have received the Anilox roll, our recommendation is to be very careful as to how that roll is handled, as it is taken to press, installed in the press, or put into storage. You want to keep that roll covered with the materials that it came with from our factory. We wrap these rolls very carefully, and we want to ensure that that wrapping remains on. If you are moving that roll with a crane or a lifting device, you want to make sure that you measure it to the center of the roll and that you use the nylon choke strap in the center of the roll. This way you have proper balance for the handling of that roll. Obviously, it is very important to use all EH&S pass safety requirements as you are moving the roll to avoid damage not only to the roll, but damage or injury to the employee. Each Anilox roll that you will receive comes with very specific identification: the serial number, the specifications of the roll, cell type, cell shape, line count, and BCM. This is an opportunity to record that information using the cell certification document that comes with that roll so that you are able to note where that roll is being stored or which position on the press it is being installed, whether it is the first print station, second print station, and so forth. This will enable you to go back and reference that roll as it ages so that we can track its life cycle. As part of evaluating this roll through its life cycle, we really want to be able to identify, through the use of magnification and your inspection, the condition of the engraving. Do you know what is a good engraving? Good engraving is produced with chromium oxide ceramic, which has a high density with a porosity of less than 1%, also a hardness that is in the range of 1250 Vickers, which gives us the ability to create a roll that has a high degree of wear resistance and chip resistance. We want to make sure that the roll has ideal cell walls so that they are not fragile, also that they provide proper support for the doctor blade. And we want to ensure that every roll you receive, whether it's the first roll or second roll, or whether it's a week from now or a year from now, that they are produced accurately and consistently to ensure you have the highest uptime on your press. Anilox roll life depends on many factors. If a roll is specified properly, the correct LPI, the correct BCM, that it's manufactured to the ideal requirements, and it is used and maintained properly, you can expect a life cycle of 3 to 5 years for that Anilox roll. Premature wear can be caused by damage to the surface of the roll, can be caused by score lines or the inappropriate use of filters and magnets in the ink. Other culprits can be the metering system, and damage can be caused by excessive blade pressure or using incorrect doctor blades. Of course, rolls are also damaged and can be damaged by improper handling and improper cleaning. But one of the biggest culprits that we see which shortens the life of an Anilox roll is plugging. However, by maintaining proper maintenance procedures, daily, weekly, and monthly procedures, We are able to ensure that you have the highest volume available from that Anilox roll, which can greatly extend its life. So when we more specifically talk about wear, we start with an engraving that has the ideal characteristics. Wear is identified as the walls begin to get wider. The surface becomes shiny and polished, and therefore, of course, if we are removing ceramic from the surface of the walls, we are getting shallower cells, and that begins to decrease the volume of the Anilox roll. Many of our customers have set standards of 10 to 15% volume reduction caused by wear, and that roll then comes back into our facility for re-engraving. Probably the biggest culprit in having a roll re-engraved is caused by damage. What we see is 75% of the Anilox rolls that we audit and 75% of the Anilox rolls that come through our facilities have a very high degree of damage. Further, this happens before they wear out. So if we are able to reduce the amount of damage, we are going to be able to reduce your overall spend on Anilox rolls because you will begin to get the true value of those Anilox rolls. Ceramic is very hard, but it is also brittle, so impact damage, sending an Allen key through a print nip, for example, will definitely damage an Anilox roll. Improper handling, improper cleaning methods, and, as we spoke earlier, contamination in your inking system causing score lines, all of this can create damage to an Anilox roll which requires replacement. So if we look at score lines, these 4 images outline what score lines look like from a distance, as well as under high magnification. We can see here streaks on the surface of an Anilox roll around its circumference, and these are often caused by contaminants in the inking system. A score line can be caused by a foreign material filling the Anilox roll cells. This could be, for example, metal or blade material being driven into the cell itself, reducing the amount of ink and therefore creating a light spot in the resulting print. Counter to that, it can be a score line caused by a hard item, like a piece of a doctor blade stuck behind the doctor blade, removing ceramic. In that case, you are going to get a dark line in the print. Both can be prevented by proper procedures and proper use of magnetics and ink filtration systems. It is important to use filters in the ink system and use the recommended blade pressure to ensure that you are using the tip of the blade rather than beginning to bend the blade and use the side of the blade. Ink plugging represents another form of avoidable damage. When we talk about the transfer efficiency of an Anilox roll, we are transferring from the Anilox to the printing plate roughly 50% of the ink that is in the cells. The balance of that ink remains in the cells, and it is replenished by the inking system as it rotates before it comes into contact with the printing plate again. This ink then remains in the cells. It can be that the cell is not created correctly, and it's a deep cell, or in situations where the ink system isn't being maintained, or if you are not using proper cleaning techniques upon color changes, and at the end of a print run, that ink then solidifies in the bottom of the cell. This then builds up over time and reduces the Anilox roll's efficiency in carrying the correct level of ink. What we always want to see happening is that a roll is produced to the ideal depth to opening ratios. You can use Pomarco's Screen Selector Guide, which provides very specific guidance on various cell geometry and the volume and depth of the cell that we would recommend for that application. This will, in turn, ensure that you have the best possible performing Anilox roll. But in addition to that, we would like to work with you to have proper maintenance and proper cleaning procedures, which will then allow you to get the maximum value and highest uptime on your press. Those maintenance procedures include daily cleaning, weekly cleaning, and monthly cleaning techniques in order to maintain the full efficiency of the Anilox roll. A couple of quick points on cleaning a ceramic Anilox roll. We want to use a stainless steel brush because the stainless steel has sufficient hardness so that it cleans versus the ceramic being worn by the brush. We want to choose the proper cleaning chemicals. There's a portfolio of different products that can be used. but we specifically work with products that are pH adjusted to ensure that they will not affect the Anilox roll. There are on-press cleaning systems like Anilox, a sodium bicarbonate used to clean the surface of the Anilox roll. This deep cleans the cells to return them to the maximum level of volume. That same system is also available in off-press applications, and there are a variety of other manufacturers that produce quality equipment to clean these rolls and sleeves outside of the printing press. The key here is always to inspect the roll before it is cleaned, and then inspect the roll again after it has been cleaned using magnification and other devices similar to an MD scope, troika scope, or K-patch to read the volume of the roll before and after. And when inspecting and getting these rolls clean, we talked about the original cell characteristics. If you maintain records of what those engravings looked like when they were new, you are able to judge what those engravings look like after cleaning and over the course of time. You want to use high magnification in order to be able to inspect those rolls. And again, you are documenting the condition of these rolls so that you are able to track their life to ensure that you are getting the maximum value from your investment. So, to follow on with that statement, we want to talk about inventory management. And with inventory management, you have all the information necessary to check the roll at incoming as it is received. We want to document the condition of that roll over time, the volume of the roll. You can also determine very clearly whether that roll needs attention based on its ability to deliver the correct ink film thickness, density, and color. And we want to continue to document those rolls for potential damage. Pomarco offers a roll audit process where we'll come in and, with every roll in your facility, inspect the rolls, determining the overall condition in regard to cleanliness and wear. We provide you a detailed report of the condition of all rolls in your facility with a very clear green, yellow, orange, red traffic signal type identification on what's good, what needs attention, and what should be immediately addressed with regards to problems. So, as a wrap-up to this whole discussion, we want to pay particular attention to care and handling, both from a safety standpoint as well as preventing potential damage to the Anilox roll. We want to ensure that there are no sharp hand tools that are being used as that roll is unwrapped that could potentially damage the surface of the roll. We want to make sure that there are no sharp tools that are being used around the Anilox roll while it is in the press. We want to ensure that we keep the ink circulating as the press is operating and the Anilox roll rotating when it is in the idle mode in order to prevent ink drying in the cells. We want to clean the rolls thoroughly every time the roll is used. We don't want to just use water in the circulation system. We want to have a surfactant, a soap in that system to provide lubricity as well as to ensure the rolls are cleaned while they are idle. We want to use the correct brush, stainless steel with ceramic. We want to view the cells under magnification both before and after cleaning to ensure we are actually accomplishing what we are attempting to do. We want to keep the rolls covered when they are not in use. And we want to store the rolls safely in a crate or on a rack. And when we are handling sleeves, we don't want to sit them on hard surfaces, fracturing the ceramic on the ends. I hope this has been useful. Thank you.